Hey guys, here we go into a video on Deontay Wilder's main key to victory for beating Tyson Fury in the third fight. And that's going to be having control of the space between him and Tyson Fury. Now in the first fight, Tyson Fury didn't really look to control the space between him and Deontay Wilder. He would let Deontay Wilder feint him, probe him, right? And then do whatever he wanted with his hands, right? And land big shots all night. Now, in spite of the fact that that fight was pretty close, there were a lot of really close and dead rounds. Rounds that could go either way, depending on who you liked. For the most part, this was the pace of the fight. And it allowed Deontay Wilder to get that late knockdown and control Tyson Fury with his power because of the fact that Tyson Fury wasn't really looking to control Deontay Wilder, right? He wasn't controlling the lead hand. He was allowing him to feint and probe and set shots up all night. Now, in the second fight, though, Tyson Fury came out looking to control that lead hand, and push Deontay Wilder back. Not allow Deontay Wilder to feint and probe and use this position to set up his right hands, right? Now, I know that clip was also in the second round, or in the second fight, but I just wanted to demonstrate how different the fight looks and how effective this tactic was for Tyson Fury, as he was able to control Deontay Wilder's lead hand and set up jabs to the body, control, and set up left hooks to the head, control him, and set up right hands. And he was able to set up all kinds of offense against Deontay Wilder because he's better at using this technique. He's better using the lead hand and using lead hand control than Deontay Wilder. And then also, even when they're not controlling each other, Tyson Fury is just a little bit quicker with his feints, a little bit quicker, footed than Deontay Wilder, and he's still able to set up shots or probes and feint him out of position to land a jab, right? See him control and then feint him, and then Deontay Wilder looks to control him, and then he attacks him with the jab, setting up a kind of a counter. But what winds up happening is, without the control that Deontay Wilder has, right, being able to feint and put Tyson Fury out of position, it allows Tyson Fury to be in so many more positions throughout the course of the fight to attack and land punches on Deontay Wilder, more and more limiting his offense and putting him farther and farther behind on the cards, as well as behind mentally. Now, the reason that Deontay Wilder is having such a difficult time is because of the fact that he doesn't look to control the space with anything but his lead hand. Okay, so because of the fact that he only looks to use his lead hand, and he doesn't look to feint or probe with his right hand, he's not really able to threaten Tyson Fury's position. Now, what I mean here are the shoulder feints that Terence Crawford is going to use here, right? See how he slips this way, and Amir Khan has to respect that motion, right? As he slips forward, Amir Khan has to slip off the line as well because a right hand may be coming. These shoulder feints are very, very, very effective at controlling the space and limiting the amount of attacks that your opponent may or may not want to attack or throw at you. Now in this fight, Amir Khan has a terrible problem of always stepping with his attacks and leaping in with his jabs. And because of the fact that Terence Crawford is feinting this shot already, he's already getting into position to throw his right hand, right? Because he's feinting and he's probing that shot. So by the time Amir Khan looks to open up here, Terence Crawford has already figured out exactly where his head needs to be so he can counter him. Exactly on the timing. Whoops, my video's kind of crashed. But he's already feinted and probed and gotten comfortable moving into this position so that when Amir Khan finally does attack him, it's so much easier for him to get into that position, slip the attack of Amir Khan, and land his own counters. Now, he does land a big shot there too. But, and that motion was going to lead into many, many more options for offense as well, especially because Tyson Fury has a very similar style with the way that he leaps in and exposes himself and ends his punches on the front foot, either his right hand, his jab, or his hook, as we'll take a look in a second. But simply feinting and controlling the space on the front foot will allow him to find himself in positions to where he can freely slip the jab and land overhand rights when his opponent makes these attacks. As you can see, this motion here is exactly the same as this motion here. And he's able to land a right hand because he's setting it up. He's making this motion innocuous to his opponent, and he's able to set up that overhand right, put himself in that position, right, and understand that that's the position that he wants to be in. Now, as you can see, Tyson Fury, off of his lead hand control, is also very exposed when he steps in with his jab. Each time he does this motion, right, even when he's hooking with him, he's stepping in, exposing himself over the shoulder. And if Deontay Wilder were able to slip his weight to the front foot during this motion, he'd easily be able to land an overhand right onto Tyson Fury in nearly any of these positions. As you can see, also very easily in this position here, if he were to get his head from the back foot here to the front foot and land a right hand. As well as this one here. As you can see, although this is pretty quick, he is really quick, but you may be able to get your right hand right over the top of that jab because of the position that Tyson Fury looks to throw that jab from the back foot with his hands down. Now, I do think that this is something that's very, very, very important for Deontay Wilder to figure out and to practice and to train so that he can get an overhand right similar to the one that Terence Crawford uses here. And then by then, as you can see, like in this last clip here, where did that go? Control. Even when there aren't any shots, being able to probe and force attacks out of his opponent, that you can probe and force attacks out of your opponent. And because he's been practicing this motion, he'll not only be able to counter attacks, but he'll be able to bait counter attacks and counter those as well. So I think that the right hand shoulder feint and the feinting and the probing is going to be something that's very, very, very important for Deontay Wilder to figure out, to learn, and to practice if he's going to be able to beat Tyson Fury. Because if he's not able to control him and use this feint to stop him from throwing punches, to stop him from setting up his jabs, to stop him from controlling him with the lead hand, we're going to have many, many more engagements in the fight that end like this, with Wilder getting hit because he doesn't have control, rather than Wilder being able to use his control to land his own right hands. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out my Patreon if you guys are interested in learning about boxing positions, learning how to do striking drills, or you're interested in having your own personal technique breakdowns for your shadow boxing, your heavy bag drills. Sign up on my Patreon, and you can send me messages, private messages. And you can read the comments of the people and see the videos of the other people who are sending in their videos and learn from them as well. It's a really, really cool and unique experience, guys. I would highly recommend it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks, guys.